Hello, everyone. Welcome to the One Conscious Love Network. I'm here with Lesley. We met on Facebook, of all places. Sometimes Facebook connects you to the right people. So, Lesley, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone how is it that you shed your light in the world?
Hi there. Well, my name's Lesley, and I live in a small village just on the outskirts of Nottingham. So that's more or less in the centre of England. And for the last 6 years, I've been practicing hypnotherapy. And then in the last 3.5 years, I've been practicing Reiki. So I'm now a Reiki master. And I also began life coaching about 3.5 years ago as well. And initially, my life coaching, I was aiming it primarily at men and men aged between about 30 and 50 because of those disturbing figures that you hear about to do with suicide and how men
Mm,
sadly make up the majority of that, and having lost a member of my own family that way as well. That wanting to reach out and make a difference to turn those figures around and stop men before they went down that rabbit hole. But also discovered that there were women out there that needed the help as well. So I didn't feel that I could just shut the door on them.
mm,
And over the last few years, I've started pivoting that around to helping people overcoming those experiences, the inherited traumas that they've had in their lives, that serve as a block to hold them back. Because I know what those inherited traumas can do. I know the blocks that they can put in place. I know how they can really cause havoc with the things you really want to do, but maybe you feel you haven't got the confidence, you've got negative narrative that's holding you back, and you just don't know how to get past it. So, having been doing the work on myself, it puts me in a position then to help other people to do the same. And that just helps them then to move those blocks out of the way so they can let the sun shine in again. But overcome things like not being able to sleep properly, having problems with food, having a negative relationship with food so that they're fighting weight problems. And it might look like stress that's overwhelming, that being easily triggered. It might be anxiety or even depression. And quite often these things are linked to things that are in our unconscious mind. So it's
mhm,
getting around that, bringing those to the fore, recognizing them, then cutting them away, sending them off to the horizon, cutting them away so then you can step forward and start creating those patterns of behavior that are yours and work for you. So that's my shining the light. That's how
That's
I.
so beautiful. Of course, I love hypnotherapy and of course, Reiki. So powerful and magical. Can you share with us maybe an experience that one of your client experienced with you, just so that people are watching, they're like, could this work for me?
I can. Funny enough, I was working with a man 3 years ago. He was running, still is running 3 different businesses, all completely
Mm,
separate from one another. And I met him at a networking event, and he said that he was suffering from such stress, and you could see it in his face. He was
mm,
only in his mid-30s, but it was looking a lot older. And you
mm,
could see it behind his eyes. Um, and so we got working together. I put him through the 12-step program that I created at that time. And the one thing he said to me at the very beginning is, he says, I've got two dogs. He said, one of them is, as he put it, an absolute hole. And so when I take him for walks, he'll even run up the tree after a squirrel with me on the other end of the lead. He just acts like a complete idiot. And I'm so embarrassed taking him out, and it really makes me stressed. He said, even just putting my shoes on, I start to feel stressed and the dog starts acting
mhm,
up. So I thought, okay. We carried on working together, and I was helping him with overcoming his stress and how to reframe different thoughts and ideas. And halfway through, I could start to see how his shoulders were coming down.
mhm,
So I was sitting like this. He was looking more relaxed. His face, the lines were going from his face. He was starting to look so much calmer. And I said to him, incidentally, how's the dog walking going? He said, it's really odd. He said, I'm not getting stressed out now when I'm putting my shoes on. And he's not stressed out either. He's not stressing me. He's not behaving like an idiot. He's actually behaving himself. So I said, do you think he's been picking up on your energy then, both before and after? He said, I hadn't thought of that. I really hadn't given that a thought. He said, but that makes absolute sense. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, I said to him, what did you get out of this? He
Mm,
said, to be fair, he says, I think you saved my life.
mm,
He said, I was really getting to that point of stress that I didn't know where else to go and what else to do. He said, and you just pulled me back from that. And now he says, we're starting a family, which was something we couldn't do before. It just wasn't happening. And he said, things have just started to turn around. And it was so good to see. You could see the celebration in his face. And that just made me feel nice and warm here. Nice to
mm,
see that 12-week shift, but you could see the shift halfway in. You could see it already starting to happen, and then he was just building on it. And it was beautiful to see.
It's so beautiful. And it works also with people, right? That energy field that you're creating and their response to you, and you're constantly getting into conflict with others. And you're
Yeah,
like, oh, they're all wrong. And you gotta wonder what you're putting out in the universe, right? And so it's so beautiful for him to realize that. So
that's
changing that.
exactly right. Yeah, I see it so much in how people behave with each other. I mean, as a part-time thing, because most households need two incomes to keep going. And so you have to find a way of keeping your nose above water. And so I actually work for 16 hours a week in a supermarket.
Hmm.
And it's quite a large supermarket, so there's a fairly good team there. But I see the different interactions between my colleagues and the customers, and how
Mm,
some of the colleagues regularly have almost like confrontations with customers. I never do, and there are a few others that never do. But it's
mm,
how they are. So when I'm talking to these colleagues and I feel their energy, I think I can see how that sparks with the
mm,
customer, and see how what you put out is what you're getting back. And occasionally I find myself even lightly coaching one or two colleagues and saying, have you thought about and working with them quietly and seeing that change? So I kind of do a bit of behind the scenes work, and they're not really aware of what I'm doing. I think I'm just sort of asking them questions and getting them to think about what they're doing. And then they start to notice the difference. So it's an interesting environment to work in, because it gives you so many pointers and clues as to how people's minds work and the energy that they're putting out there. It's an interesting place.
so true. And you must meet a lot of clients that you're thinking, wow, this would be really good for them.
Yeah. I do occasionally suggest it, and I'd have occasionally handed out a business card and saying, well, give me if you need anything, because they do get interested and they say, oh, really? Because I don't think they even think that somebody that's sitting at a checkout would ever do something like that
Hmm.
away from there. So they're quite amazed that, these are human beings here that do other things as well. But they might be able to help you at the same time.
So
So,
beautiful. I love that. I love that. So obviously people that are watching are all over the world, Australia, we have South America, Central America, North America, and then Europe, all over the place. So
yeah.
how do you work with people? How does it work for them to connect to you?
Whilst I do enjoy doing face-to-face work and in person, and much of the Reiki work I do in person, I trained hands-on, and so I like to continue that hands-on. But in terms of the coaching and the hypnotherapy,
Mm.
I will quite happily do that via Zoom, by a link through the computer. Um, I think 2020 taught us all how useful these machines are in taking us outside to our customers. And we all had to learn very quickly how to adapt. But when I did, I noticed that actually hypnotherapy works just as well this way as it does in person,
Yeah.
just as long
And
as you've got
it's
the right
one of
connection.
the
But yes.
benefits of it, right? Was to find out we can do a lot of goods online too. It's not all just this negative energy out there. Yeah.
That's right. And you can reach more people. Before that, I was only thinking in terms of the four counties around me.
Mhm.
Now I think of where in the world. There isn't really many places that you can't connect to in a practical way.
Yeah.
You know, I have a nephew who lives in Brisbane, Australia, so we managed to connect and talk to each other without
Mhm.
either one of us having to be in our pajamas to do it. So it is something that it's practical, it can be done, just negotiating the right times, you know. So
That's so beautiful. I love that. And obviously, we're going to put all your links in the comments so people can find you easily. Question I always ask everyone is, what is one conscious love to you? So, what comes to mind for you?
unconscious love. I think that one conscious love is for yourself. It's for me. That is something I had to become aware of, to learn, because we aren't necessarily taught as children about how important it is to love ourselves. And it's not to do with the ego, and it's nothing to do with vanity. But when you feel that real love for yourself, then that is the energy that you send out to everybody else. And at the same time, they will either consciously or unconsciously feel how to love you, and it comes back. So it's one thing to say you love somebody, but when you really love yourself, then you know how to love other people. That's the one conscious love that means the most to me, I think, is starting here. Definitely.
Beautiful. Totally. I can't agree more. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to share with everyone watching?
Um, I just think that whatever is going on in the world, and there's an awful lot that's going on out there, and we can become swamped by it, sucked into it, and let it really start triggering our anxieties and our worries and so on. Just remember to keep coming back to yourself. Keep yourself grounded. Become aware of yourself. Focus your breathing. Focus on how you're feeling, where that feeling is coming from, how you can process it. Always come back to yourself, because that is where your reality lies. And that is the one thing that you can do anything about. So always come back to yourself, and don't let anything else around you take your mind away from that and distract you and take you too far. Always come back to yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here, Lesley. I hope you'll be back very soon and other events as an event host or for another interview. Such a pleasure to get to know you better. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's lovely to speak to you and to whoever's watching. Thank you.
Yes. Well, reach out to Lesley, make your friend, learn from her. I'm sure you'll benefit from that. It sounds just a beautiful opportunity to make a new friend. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.